Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever wondered what the ultra-wealthy are actually doing behind closed doors? Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to dig straight into the source material and uncover how millionaires build and, more importantly, protect their fortunes. We're stripping away the myths today and looking at the hard data to see exactly how real wealth is generated.
So, it's the million-dollar question, quite literally, right? What do millionaires actually do differently? I mean, from the outside looking in, it really feels like they must have some massive hidden advantage, like they're tapping into insider information the rest of us don't get, or maybe using some unbelievably complex formulas that normal people just can't wrap their heads around. And this brilliantly illustrates the truth of the matter. We all think it's about these secret strategies or flashy algorithm-driven tactics, but the reality found in the data, it's honestly way less glamorous, but man, is it empowering. Most millionaires don't rely on complicated tricks at all. They rely on incredibly simple habits repeated consistently over a long period of time. Now, to break this down, we've organized these behaviors into 3 core pillars. Because look, before we even talk about what stocks millionaires are buying, we absolutely have to understand how they think. The foundation of wealth is built in your head way before it ever hits your bank account.
Which brings us to pillar number 1, mastering the investor mindset. Just look at how the average investor's brain works compared to a millionaire's. The data shows that average investors are out there checking their apps every single day, stressing out, asking, okay, what stock is going to pop this week? They're hunting for that quick win. But millionaires, they are playing a completely different game. They're asking, what is going to grow over the next 10 years? This is habit number 2 from our source, thinking long-term. By shifting your horizon from days to decades, you drastically lower your stress levels. You completely stop sweating the daily market hiccups, which actually dramatically improves your decision-making. So the crucial point is right here. Focus on logic, not feelings. And that highlights habit number 3. Millionaires literally do not panic. When the market tanks, they stay remarkably calm. And when the market skyrockets, they don't get swept up in the euphoria either. Why? Because making financial decisions based on how you feel in the moment almost always leads to a total disaster. Logic is your anchor. It's the only thing that keeps you steady when the markets go crazy. But how do you actually stay logical when Twitter and the news are just screaming 24/7 about the next massive crash or the next crypto boom? Well, that's habit 8, avoiding unnecessary noise. You simply cannot react to every breaking headline. You can't chase every viral trend. Millionaires aggressively filter their information diet. They completely tune out the static and zero in on the data that actually impacts their long-term goals. Too much noise, it just leads to terrible decisions. Wrapping up this whole mindset pillar is, honestly, the absolute hardest habit for most folks to nail down. Habit 9, wealth takes time. Trust the process. Patience is where the vast majority of people completely fall apart. We all want instant results, right? And when we don't get rich in 6 months, we quit or we completely blow up our strategy. Millionaires fundamentally get that true wealth generation is a slow, steady burn. They let their investments bake, undisturbed, trusting the machine they've built. And once you've got that mental game locked in, you need a physical game plan. Because millionaires aren't just out there making money, they are fiercely protective of the money they've already got.
All right, let's move to and see how this builds into pillar number 2, strategies for defensive growth. Habit 4 is just a textbook example of this defensive mindset. They don't buy random penny stocks on a rumor from a buddy. No way. They focus heavily on quality. We're talking strong companies, rock-solid business models, and assets with proven long-term potential. And why the obsession with quality? Because quality naturally strips out the risk. A stellar company can weather an economic hurricane, and over time, that quality just relentlessly compounds into massive returns.
Next up is habit 5, diversify. We've all heard, don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? Well, millionaires literally structure their entire financial lives around this one sentence. They spread their money out across different companies, completely different sectors of the economy, and totally different asset classes. Because look, no matter how much you absolutely love a company, betting your whole life savings on it is just a fast track to losing sleep and probably your money. Diversifying builds a financial fortress around your wealth, protecting you from taking a catastrophic hit if one specific market sector suddenly goes under.
And that flows right into habit 6. Protecting capital is just as important as growing it. Think about that for a second. Millionaires think about the downside first. Before they put a single dime on the line, the very first question they ask is, okay, what could go wrong here? They actually prepare for the worst. They never go all in on one idea. Managing risk with that kind of paranoia is exactly what guarantees they survive the brutal times, so they're actually still around to thrive in the good times. But managing risk also means knowing that the world doesn't just stand still. So, habit 7 is vital. Keep learning. The market is basically a living, breathing thing. It changes constantly. New tech pops up. Laws change. Millionaires absolutely do not stop educating themselves just because they hit a certain net worth. They read constantly, they study the markets, they analyze what's coming next. Staying relentlessly informed is their secret weapon. It's what lets them pivot and adapt to shifts before anyone else even sees them coming. Okay, but here's the kicker. The best mindset and the smartest defensive strategies are completely useless without a catalyst. If you don't actually pull the trigger, literally nothing happens. Which brings us to our final section, pillar number 3, the power of action. And right out of the gate, we hit habit 1. Seriously, if you take nothing else away from our source material today, remember this: consistency beats timing. Millionaires absolutely refuse to sit on the sidelines waiting for that magical perfect time to invest, because they know the perfect time is a total myth. They invest regularly, every single month, every single year, rain or shine, boom or bust. It is that boring, relentless, unstoppable repetition that actually builds empires. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it perfectly visualizes habit 10, taking action early. Look, day 1 might literally just be throwing $20 into an account. Seems pointless, right? But jump forward 10 years, and that continuous, tiny action has turned into a freight train of momentum. Push it out to 30 years, the sheer magic of compounding has turned that into life-changing, generational wealth. Starting early leverages time, and time is unquestionably the heaviest hitter in your investing toolkit. Seriously, do not wait until you think you have enough money. Start today. Anyway, we've covered a ton of ground looking at the psychology and strategy of the ultra-wealthy. So let's bring this explainer home and synthesize everything into one clear focus. The ultimate wealth formula. Let's put the whole puzzle together.
The contrast here is honestly pretty staggering, isn't it? Most folks live in this constant cycle of starting and stopping. They invest a little, they get spooked by the news, they pull it all out, they panic. That emotional whiplash is exactly what kills their returns. Millionaires, they are just relentlessly, boringly consistent. They stick to their habits no matter what. The big reveal here isn't that their habits are incredibly complex, but simply that they actually do them every single day. So here it is, the ultimate checklist pulled straight from our data. From investing regularly and zooming out your timeline, to obsessively managing risk, totally ignoring the media noise, and just starting as early as humanly possible. If you want to grab a screenshot to remember everything from this explainer, this is the one to take. It's all right here. There was no magic pill, it's just a proven, battle-tested roadmap. Which leads us to the ultimate core truth of this entire analysis. Investing is about behavior. That's the whole shebang. Becoming successful isn't about getting lucky, it's definitely not about throwing a dart at a meme stock and hoping it shoots to the moon. Your wealth is entirely dictated by your discipline. It's the boring habits you build and those tiny little decisions you make over and over and over again. Give it enough time and those small actions literally build mountains. So stop stressing about getting rich tomorrow. Focus 100% of your energy on building the right behaviors today. I want to leave you with one final provocative question to chew on. What habit will you start today? Like really, will you finally set up that automatic transfer? Will you delete that distracting stock app off your phone? Just pick one. Start today and stay consistent. You are going to be amazed at how far you can go. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and keep learning.